and there was probably a quick rush of oil. Okay guys, so the oil filter has these rings around it. You might be confused and think that a gasket has slipped off, but that is not the case. I'll show you what a new one looks like. And that oil at the bottom, that's just from me being a bit sloppy while doing this. So don't mind that. So there's a close-up, and up in there is the other piece. So here I've got a brand new oil filter. And as you can see, it has those same ribbons. So there's two T30 bolts and then the one triple square bolt. There's one more triple square bolt back here. The bolts are all the same size, so you'll be good on reinstall. Alright, so out it comes. Let's just be gentle with it, get it around everything. There is a bit of oil on the housing, and you can see down there, but not too much leakage. Oh, that wasn't in frame. There you go, guys. There's the oil filter housing. So we'll get it cleaned up, get the new O-ring, and we'll keep going. Well, what I should have done before, let me see if I can zoom it in here. So where the number 8 is, there was a piece of gasket. It's not going to fall in, but we're going to pick it out together. I should have done this before. That piece of gasket is not from the number 8 one. It's that number 8 is in there in that puddle of oil. Oh no, see, I'm trying to film. You're not supposed to film. I gotta just fix this car. Okay, if it'll focus, there's this black plastic cap. We'll look at it later in more detail. Let's do a little more digging in there just to see if there's anything else. No, we're good. Okay, so taking a closer look in here, here's what we have. And there's that other port that goes into the filter housing at the top. Now I'm going to clean it up and we'll continue from here. Okay guys, so in that little pool back there, well, it just fell down the screwdriver, but once I started clearing out the oil a bit carefully with a microfiber, a clean one, and a screwdriver, picking up the sand and the oil, this O-ring, this blue O-ring, was just freely living in that puddle back there with that other piece of gasket. So maybe somebody was sloppy in the past working, but there was a mystery blue gasket in that puddle. So there's a closer look at the blue gasket I found in the puddle. Well, the treasures continue to be found. This screw looks like it's from one of the carbon fiber engine brackets, and that was also in the puddle. I just removed it from there, so we'll see what this bolt was from, but big treasure trove down here. 3 things we found so far in there. So those oil sucking vacuums would be great, but you have to be very careful if you don't have it. Say in my case, see, I pushed that sand up the groove there with my screwdriver. You can see there's some more beside the other part of the number 8, but there's a lot of sand. You don't want to get it up in a braid, and worse, you don't want it to fall into the holes. Now I don't think you need to, if you drain the oil a bit, this won't be level here, but I'm just going to dab a fresh towel or microfiber in there, pull out some of the oil, and we can keep working. You really don't need to go to the trouble of draining oil and putting it back for this job. You got to clean the whole valley anyways. So if you run into the case where you have debris back there like me, you got to carry your hand under it. Get as much as you can with screwdrivers and picks. But this last part I'm doing with pliers, and I carry my hand under what the pliers pick up, the chunks of sand, and then I clean it off with the microfiber in that bowl on the coolant tank there. If you drop inside there, you don't want that to happen. So everything's gone fine here. Just carry under whatever you pick up, because it's very hard to pick stuff out of that area. Center caps have been re-cleared. Sorry, the logo piece, this plastic piece that has carbon looking, I'm gonna glue it back onto the original center caps, and they're gonna be refreshed with the newly painted wheels. So after a bit of cleanup, I thought I'd be clever, put a pan under and brake clean underneath everything so that nothing vital gets brake cleaner on it and I don't have to do too much more work. And as I got my pan to go under, look what I found. So as you remove the oil filter housing, that's probably when it happened. There was probably a quick rush of oil, although I didn't see it. But this is what we have here after removing the oil filter housing. So there's really nowhere else it could have came from. So just put a pan in this area, I guess, if you don't want to drain your oil. But that's like almost no oil anyways. So yeah, just work a bit cleaner. Crack the drain plug loose a bit, tighten it up, and then add a bit of oil. But I'll just clean this up, and we're going to shoot the brake cleaner and whatever into the pan in this area. At least I know exactly where it's going to leak now, and so do you. So there it is in reference to the car. So you can learn from my mistake and crack the drain plug loose. I knew I was supposed to drain the oil a bit at least for this job, but you know, we always try to make it easier. So even more findings as I am gently brake cleaning through those valleys, pushing the oil mixture through the ports and down into the pan. I found more pieces of old plastic and gasket. There's a bit more. Just pull those and keep going. There's the other piece I found hidden in the oil in the valley. Just very gentle. You want to break it up. You don't want to blast it out and possibly bring it back up in here. If you just go past all the wires with the nozzle and gently let it out, it'll all start swimming down the valley into the pan. Push everything away. Don't lose your banjo bolt down there. It'll like to slide down the line. Try to keep it up most of the time just so you don't forget it later. The difficulty is getting your can in different positions. So if you can put it into a spray bottle or just pour it all into a cup and get it there and then scrape with a screwdriver, that can work. But you can find enough angles with this too if you're a bit creative. But the engine gets in the way a lot from blasting this way, which is why you need to use the low pressure way to get it out facing the can this way. Okay, so tucking it in under that vacuum line there, that's probably it'll give you just enough angle so that your spray bottle works and you don't hit any crucial wiring. Maybe not. Okay, see right there? That doesn't go into any wires and it builds a big river for everything to flow down from there. So this is a good spot. Okay, so I'm just going to go at it a bit more and I'm going to keep dipping a screwdriver with the microfiber in there until I pick up everything else that's left. But the oily stuff is all cleared. It's just a light mixture of oil and brake cleaner, and we'll be clean enough that it won't smell, although I like the smell of a bit of oil off an engine. And we will be good to start reinstalling stuff, depending on how much further we go. I don't know what's gone on with this car over the years, but there was so much sand. You can see I've cleaned up the valley pretty much. I'll put a bit more brake clean, but you can see metal at the bottom. But I want you to look here. See, you can get your screwdriver past all the lines, everything. But if it shows, yeah, right there, look at that porthole. I'm literally pushing sand right there. Right there, you see? You see that sand? Here, let me poke at it. Look at that. There's so much sand packed into the valley of this car specifically. See, they're popping out more. Look at that. But it sticks to the screwdriver. Just carry it up with a microfiber. And I've been wiping it off here. So, a lot of cleanup work for me at least. The cleanup in my case is very delicate turning out. I got a couple pieces of sand in there as I've been slowly lifting up from the back there in that little brake clean and oil piece back there, but you're gonna have to clean them up with some Q-tips or something. Very careful, do not abrade it, because if you leave a piece of sand in there, your new O-ring is gonna be filled as well. But I don't think most of you will have this odd amount of sand inside of your engines, or maybe you will. Alright, so maybe pulling some oil out is important at the beginning, but as you can see, I had some sand in this part of the O-ring. All I did is I put my middle finger to plug any sand going into that return line or whatever it is, and then I blasted brake cleaner this way so that no sand would go into the other one, and I blocked the other one off a bit too. But I ended up having to use brake clean. Q-tips will just be there for cleaning up the brake clean with a little bit of sand. But you guys might not have sand anyways, so you should still do this, but I'm just showing you exactly what's happening in my case. But sand should not be in this area. So that was tough. I had to brake clean right up to my finger so that no sand went in, and everything got out of that number 8 there. Okay, so after the very careful application of brake cleaner with my finger inside of there, pushing that way, I pressed maybe 4 or 5 Q-tips with your index and thumb finger very hard right up there, and it'll pick up whatever brake cleaner, oil, and little bit of sand there is, but you got to press in really hard so the Q-tip makes contact with the inside of the O-ring. Just make sure you blasted out anything really abrasive before you start pressing in to pick up the final remnants. Okay, so after about another 10 Q-tips, both sides, careful with a microfiber, barely pressing and picking up more sand, I finally got them both clean. All the abrasive that was just suspended in the little bit of brake clean and oil on this side is gone. I was very careful. If you don't think you have a very fine touch for this kind of stuff, maybe let a shop do this job for you. But we are cleaned and surfaces are all good. Now I just got to extract that brake cleaner out the back there, and we'll hit it with a bit of compressed air later, but I cleaned it up pretty good. So just a little bit more cleanup and we'll keep going. So to clean up that pool at the back, I just put a microfiber in a pair of pliers and picked up sand and brake clean oil as I went. Now this odd shape of this valley and that number 8 gasket, what happens is there's a non-drain pool back there too. Okay, where I'm pointing the camera. So as you can see over here, you see that puddle of oil back there. Will the shine show? No, it won't. But right behind that silver screw in the middle of your screen, there's a puddle of oil. And that is also part of that design, which is like a shallow little lagoon back there. So you got to reach in there again, pliers and a microfiber, and slowly extract all that oil out. I mean, again, I like that slight film of oil smell as I drive, or you drive the car hard. But we're trying to fix this car right now, so we're going to get rid of all of the oil and film so that we can see if this was the repair. That smell will come back. These things will always leak a bit of oil. I shouldn't jinx myself and say dumb things like that, but yeah, now I'm going to clean up that pool back there in the corner. You got to do that, and then we'll keep going. So even if you remove all this stuff in the valley, I have a little bit of cleanup left there, but this job is all about how well you clean so that you have a successful job. So I spent a lot of time in different methods right now for that number 8. There's a couple more granules, very fine in there, but I want to get everything out. So I'll do that later, and everything is cleaned up decently to a point. It probably doesn't show up on camera too well here. But all those valleys, there's nothing in them anymore. I picked out tons of sand with pliers, and you can send every single one of the places that is going to have accumulated oil and sand can be accessed with pushing pliers into in between. Decent normal needle nose pliers. Now the thing is, sometimes you have to send it needle nose pliers in closed and just push them around, and the microfiber rag around them will clean it up. So let me show you guys some of the stuff over here. So this is the pliers I've been using. These are those long reach pliers we used for the clutch bleeder nipple, and obviously towels. You can see all the Q-tips I kept talking about, how dark and sand and oily they are. And just to show you guys how much sand there was in this car, this is just an accumulation of different, and you got to switch up your rags because you don't want to possibly dump sand even if you move your rag around. These rags can be cleaned and reused for a lot of things in the garage, but a lot of sand and oil and debris was removed from here, so I'll just keep working a bit more and we'll keep her going. Okay, so I'm just going to bring you guys straight underneath now. So you see where it's dripping from? See the oil level sensor? I think wind is the only thing that we can account for in here. The fact that it's been dropping from here is a good sign, because that's where our leak is. I didn't clean anything yet, okay? This is still what we had from before. But this brake cleaner and oil mixtures that I've been dumping out has been coming and dropping off of this coolant line here. So there's our water pump and the side where we don't want things on, but you can see the tensioner still has oil on it. I think that, I seriously think this might be our main leak. Rear timing covers are leaking, but I'll talk about that in another part of the series. But for now, here's what it just looks like underneath, okay? This side is still dry, nothing came here. And let me see if I can get you guys a... Okay, there's the oil level sensor. We're gonna go in here. You can see that filming this is difficult. I tried a bunch of times to film up there above the coolant pipe. It's oily, so this is still kind of mysterious, but I'm just gonna keep showing you as I figure it out as we go. Okay, so this is kind of important to help us figure it out, and maybe in the future will be a good sign for you guys to know if you've found your problem area. Okay, you see that there? There's two of these. I don't want to lose focus because I can barely see it, but I'll try to move over to the other one too. Yeah, see there it is, the droplet. Get a light right on the droplet. You guys can't see it here. And dip your finger into it. And if you push brake clean down the valley, it's not going to be thicky oil. It's going to be oil plus brake cleaner. So it's going to be a lot more watery-ish. And then you can say, oh yeah, this really is where this is all leaking down from. So I think we're in luck with what we have on the coolant tube and those brake cleaner-ish bubbles that are way back there, droplets that are way back there on the oil pan. The one gasket might be the solution to our major oil leak. And if you're going to leave it overnight like I am, just put a clean rag over the openings so that by the smallest chance something doesn't fall into it if you got your hood open. Even if your hood is closed, still cover it up.